It's your boy BLACC. This is the Exactly My Point podcast. We are live here at our networking event, the second one for the month. The second one in the second month, right? So first off, I just want to say thank you to everybody who showed up, who's here today. It really means a lot to us. The purpose of these networking events is to get like-minded people who look just like us in the same room. Those $1 million ideas start with first a couple $100 ideas. Then it starts with, after that, the $1,000 ideas, and then the $1 million ideas. So that's what it's about. So one stone at a time. We're going to trust this process. As you know, like I said, I'm BLACC. This is the infamous Sean Majors. You know what I'm saying? The rapper, producer, tax preparer, business consultant, life coach, husband, father, right? Whatever you need, Krishan has it for you. You know what I'm saying? It's always a humbling experience to get to sit next to my guy and allow iron sharpens iron. Sometimes some sparks may fly, but I know it's because, my dog only wants what's best for me. So it is March, it is Women's Month, right? So shout out to all the lovely young ladies in here in the building. You know what I'm saying? All my melanated sisters. We appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? Which is great because the topic for this episode is a Black woman's journey to the bag. Right? When you look at the statistics going out, Black women are no longer, following suit. They are blazing their own trails. And look, we got to learn from them. They're doing some things that, we can't do. They're in rooms that some of us aren't able to get in. And, I want to be educated in how to do that. So, I'm trying to tap in with my sisters, on their journey to the bag. So hopefully, some of you young ladies drop some jewels on us today. But trending topics, what's trending right now? Kanye, of course he's trending, Kanye and Kim. My dog, it's not looking too good for him right now, but he's doing his thing. Dropped Donda 2 on the on the streaming little thing, so you got this thing going. You heard it yet? You heard the Donda yet?
I ain't heard the shit. I heard Soulja Boy verse. And
I'll drink to that.
Definitely, I'll drink to that as well.
All right. What else is going on, man?
Man, not much, bro. I think even Kanye, moving.
Moving.
You get a divorce, you move in. We talking about Women's Month. He trying to be close to his woman.
Yeah.
He wrong for that?
Nah, man, fight for your family, dog. fight for your family, big dog. I ain't mad at that, man. But I just want to highlight, this is her fourth failed marriage.
100%.
It's only his first.
It's not yay.
So, I think I think Kanye gets a bad rep, but I think his belief is all marketing is good marketing.
Yeah.
So, I guess when you're a billionaire,
you can do what you want.
I guess when, you're trending on Twitter and Instagram and all these other social platforms and TMZ, I guess the mission is accomplished.
Bro, when you can successfully rock the same rain boots, bro, for 90 days and nobody say nothing, you good to go in my book, bro.
Yeah.
Like, he done been courtside, he in the studio, everywhere with these boots, bro.
Man, what you listening to nowadays, man? What's in the headset, man?
I've been listening to a little bit of Corday.
Okay.
Corday getting some ride for me right now. I'm going back. I'm boogie freestyles, things of that nature.
Okay.
West Side boogie, I got to be specific. Not,
okay.
Not Ace boogie with the hoodie.
Man, I've been J. Cole in it lately.
Yeah, that's always.
J. Cole and Benny the Butcher.
Yeah. So who won?
I'm going with J. Cole, man.
Hey, man.
I'm going with J. Cole, man.
Cole is 100 for 100 for me. He's always 100 and 0. Nobody's beating him, but that's the first time I honestly feel like somebody got him on the first.
Nah, I can't say that. Yep. I don't know, man. We'll have to go back and revisit that at a later day. Man, I was watching $1 million worth of game podcast, and they had my boy Pusha on there. And Pusha said he gave it to Jay-Z on the Drug Dealers Anonymous.
He did.
So, and I kind of agree with that too, bro. I had to go back and replay it. I was like, yeah, Push did set the bar real high on that. You know what I'm saying? So that's pretty much it. Anybody else have any trended topics that we might have missed going on?
Have you heard Jasmine Sullivan's Hotels Deluxe album?
No, I haven't. But I am a Jasmine Sullivan fan.
Some nice songs have been added.
Okay.
I suggest listening to.
Okay, Jasmine Sullivan. Okay. We definitely gonna make it happen, Jasmine Sullivan. So there's nothing wrong with that. Other than that, man, that's pretty much it, man. We're gonna keep this thing rolling. So, like we said, the title of today's episode is A Black Woman's Journey to the Bag, right? So, in order to like really understand like this journey, you have to look at your history. What they tell you, if you don't know where you've been, you don't know where you're going. So, I kind of, did some, I'm not gonna say deductive reasoning, but some qualitative, research, you feel me? And so I was able to look at some of these successful Black women in history. And of course, one that I think still reigns prevalent today is Madam C.J. Walker. She is basically the great-grandmother of cosmetics for Black women. When we talking about using, straightening hair, using a pressing comb, coming out with grease, straight for, Black women's texture, and things of that nature. She was the first to do that, and I want to say she was the first African-American woman to be a millionaire.
Annie Malone.
No, Annie stole it from her.
No, actually, Annie Malone gave it to Madam C.J.
Oh yeah, she did. Y'all right.
Oh, see how we've been educated?
Is the foundation
she is.
of all the hair products. Not only did she do hair, she did school. She's the foundation of the Brown versus Board of Education, because when they went to go fight that battle, it was Annie Malone's school that went up to battle to say separate isn't equal. Like, you cannot give us and say we can do law school at Annie Malone School and say that's equal. So she is the foundation of all of our learning, our education, as well as hair. And the movie didn't give her justice.
Yeah. It didn't, and I think that as a cosmetologist, I think that it's important for us to recognize that the narrative is always painted that Black women don't know how to get along, and that's really not the truth. They both definitely made waves and paved waves in the industry of beauty. When people say Madam C.J. Walker created the hot comb, she did not. You know what I mean? It's just sometimes history is not always correct, but she definitely did her thing in identifying that there was a problem. Women of color definitely did not have access to hair products that would help them take care of their hair and their scalps in a time where, let's say, water and clean water and different things weren't available to women of color. So she did her thing. She did her work. Annie did too. So it's important for us to, like you said, just know history from the right way.
Ooh. Thank y'all for educating us. You know what I'm saying? They say history, if you break it down, is his story. And we have the ladies, that have done their research to help write her story. You feel me? So that's how we're doing it. But thank y'all for that. Next on my list is Mary Mcleod Bethune. Any HBCU alums in here, you will hear of Bethune-Cookman. She is definitely the name behind that institution. She was a journalist and also involved in insurance. And she started one, I think it's called like the Tampa Life Insurance Company. So you think about doing life insurance, back in the early 1900s and having the foresight, like, hey, like when you die, it costs, to bury you, coming from where we come from, being descendants of slaves, here in America, not over in Africa, right? But coming over here and, now becoming slaves and losing everything, it costs to bury, and, we look at that now, if we fast forward and we look at now, when a lot of us die, it's fish fries, cookouts, GoFundMes to help raise money when essentially it's $5 or $6 out of your check every month that can make sure that not only you're taken care of, but that your family doesn't have to, put themselves in a situation to make sure that you're taken care of. So just to have like the foresight in that, you know what I'm saying, is something, I thought was very unique when we're talking about women in business, because you look at Black women, they've always been trailblazers. They've had to be trailblazers because laws weren't made for them. You think about it, laws were made for older white men. So that leaves out Black men, but that also leaves out Black women. So I think a lot of them were able to turn lemons into lemonade and be like, you know what, the fact that we weren't included in these laws is a loophole for us. So now there's no precedence to keep us from moving forward. Like with Black men, there are some things, like you have the prison system. You have child support in some instances for deadbeat dads that keep you from moving forward. right? But when you look at it from a woman's point of view, there weren't any laws that basically said, hey, we're going to box at them men. They were excluded. So, what's the saying, from the concrete grew a rose? And, that's exactly what happened when we look at these women. So as you continue to fast forward, we will look at the women in history that we had during like the civil rights movement. I lost my page here, I guess. Where was it at? Let's go back to the Google Chrome. The episode was on the, right here. We had some women in the civil rights movement that were very imperative and monumental. I think some women that you would have to look at just in themselves would be Martin Luther King, Coretta Scott King, and even Betty Shabazz. When you look at how their husbands, put their lives on the forefront for them. No, it was on Google, like the website. You look at how their husbands put their lives on the forefront to lead not just their communities, but a nation. Imagine being a wife and not knowing if your husband's going to come home at night. Imagine, having to, the realization of preparing to sit down and talk to your children that, your father has been killed or there's been an attempt on his life. So I think like they really don't get their due diligence when we talk about strong Black women in the civil rights movement. You also had like Shirley Caesar, and she was imperative in there. But I'm gonna find this website because there were some things. There was a group of women, some groups that were started that I had no idea about that were very monumental. One was Ida B. Wells. She was monumental in that. Let me find this if y'all give me a minute. I don't know how we lost it.
I wanted to bring up Mamie Till too, though.
Please educate us.
Yeah.
Emmett Till's mother, because as a mother, I mean, I'm not a mother, but as a mother, being able to make sure that her son that was done completely wrong,
Here we go.
not only had the funeral that he needed, but made sure that it was open, a casket, so that everyone in the world can see. And in spite of her feelings of having to see her son like that again, she wanted to better the world with the example of her son and what he went through to make sure that no other mothers had to go through that either. So, I mean, that was also a very pivotal moment for the civil rights movement. So I do want to make sure that as we are dealing with our Black men getting killed by the police and the different mothers that go through the hardships that they do dealing with that, Mamie also went through that, and she was a very pivotal part of that civil rights movement also. So although it is a very tragic situation, she dealt with those feelings of her own selfishness to allow others to see what it is that she had to deal with her baby, her only child, so that it didn't happen to anyone else.
All right, that's a very good point. Very good point. Like I said, Ida B. Wells, also known as Ida B. Wells Barnett, challenged discrimination and sexism, opposed injustice, and fought for equality. Wells Barnett wrote scathing articles decrying the scourge of lynching. Her expos brought about 1892 lynching enraged locals who burned her press and drove her from Memphis. So she was actually kicked out of Memphis for writing articles that were highlighting lynching and certain injustices. Another group that I found as I was researching was the Black Women's Club movement that emerged in the late 19th century. It was encompassed by a number of local reform organizations dedicated to racial betterment. Like their white counterparts, these grassroots organizations were primarily comprised of middle-class women who were part of the larger progressive reform effort. In 1896, several clubs joined to form the National Association of Colored Women's Club, adopting the motto, "Lifting as we climb." So this took part during the civil rights movement, and I think we always look at, you have to look at it in the times where it was traditional times where men were supposed to be the forefront of the community, the protectors, the providers. But then again, here you have it where women were also forming their own groups, their own coalitions to fight their own battles. Even when at a time where a woman standing up for her rights, a woman even preaching the gospel in some instances could cost her life. So I think when we talk about women's history, when we talk about Black history, we have to do our due diligence to research all women, not just the ones that, always hold, the fame and fortune and just their namesake, but the ones who really got out here on the grassroots level to make a change for us. So I think that's very important that we highlight them. And the last one that I have as was Mary Church Terrell. She's the founding president, of the NACW. She championed reform and ending discrimination. She saw voting rights as essential to equality, but argued that for Black women, access to education and employment was equally as important. She condemned African American women's double bind when she said, "Colored women are the only group in this country who have to have heavy handicaps to overcome that of race as well as of sex." So when you look at these situations, and we're talking about in the civil rights movement, where just equality based on your skin color was prominent, these women were very influential and very insertive and insightful to understand that, hey, as a Black woman, as a woman in general, of course I'm Black, but, just the fact that I'm a woman, how am I going to get into some of these rooms to invoke change, not just for myself, but for my sisters, as well as my daughters, my nieces, my nephews, and things of that nature. So again, when we talk about the history of Black people, we have to make sure that we include the women who, did their due diligence, in this fight for equality. So as we get out of Black History Month, and as we move forward in Women's Month, I wanted to make sure that we highlighted some women who were doing their due diligence in their community. So we're gonna move forward. The second portion is the traditional woman versus the new millennium woman, right? So our mothers, a lot of our mothers and grandmothers are traditional, so how they see things is different, how you young ladies see things as well as myself. So we just kind of want to talk about that. And one of the biggest things that we knew in this issue was education, right? So a stat to throw out there is, among Black students in higher education, women are more likely than men to earn degrees. Black women get 64% of bachelor's degrees, 72% of master's degrees, and 66% of doctoral degrees, medical and dental degrees. So when we're talking about changing the landscape or changing the trajectory in our community, one thing we have to highlight is that women have not just talked about it, they've done it, right? And now we're seeing in our generation, women are opening up law practices. They're opening up realty firms and brokerage institutions. They're opening up schools. They're opening up businesses. So I just want to open the floor up to have a discussion, definitely with my young ladies and my young men in here. When we talk about this, especially for those who have been to college, I know myself, when I went to college, it was sports, right? And then major in business or something like that, something broad. It wasn't a concentration that's like, hey, if you figure this out, if you master this, you'll be in a league of your own, right? So had I knew what I knew now, maybe I do go into being a barber first before I go to college, and then going to college and having a cosmetology degree where I can cut everybody's hair at a shop, pay for school instead of taking on debt, right? If I understood maybe, being a dentist and being the fact that I'm a teacher and I see how many children have bad teeth, maybe opening up a practice to where I can help families, in private situations. But a lot of this information wasn't present to me as a Black man because of athletics. And it's not a knock on people who don't venture into athletics. It's not a knock on people who have used athletics to help them fulfill their dreams. But when we're talking about, setting yourself up to be successful, this information, like, hey, find a specific concentration, right, and master that, wasn't available to me. So could any of my ladies, whether you've been to college or not, kind of speak on, whether it's finding a trade, whether it be realty, cosmetology, whatever the case may be, and how you've been able to navigate yourself as a new millennium woman. Ms. Williams?
So I just want to speak to kind of what you were mentioning about like being a man and not really thinking of it from that perspective. Now, ladies, I don't know, but y'all can chime in. I think it's a natural instinct for a woman to always look at how can she add value to something. So sometimes when there's already, like in the case of college, if there's already like this platform that says you can go here and you can learn this and then you can become this to make this better, right? I think it's just something that maybe women naturally gravitate to because we're created to like add value to stuff. You know what I mean? So we're essentially always looking for ways to help improve and help, you know what I'm saying, just add value. Now, the sense of why are more women leading on their own, I think that just also is just another thing of saying, hey, we see things that need to get done, and perhaps the men that we know are just in general men, they may not already be there yet, or they may be waiting for something, or they may just not even know how to get it done. I just think, again, a woman is kind of naturally always gravitated to kind of being more solution driven. So we look at things kind of from that standpoint, you know what I'm saying? And so naturally, I think a lot of entrepreneurs and self-starters are being created because it's a natural thing in us to kind of, if it's a problem, how can I help to fix it? You know what I'm saying? Not in a bad way, but yeah. So I just wanted to add that.
It makes me think of a loophole you said earlier that women have, and I work in the education system, and I've been noticing, like, what is the problem why we're not reaching, like, our young men? And I think when you said that, it hit me just now. There's a loophole that we found. We didn't have mentors. We didn't have people who, like, help guide us, like, oh, you should study the stock market, you should learn this. So we had to, like, hustle a little bit to get it. They had like coaches who were like guiding them, but sometimes the coaches didn't know what the heck they were doing, you know what I mean? It was like people who really made it out themselves were like leading young black men to do something, and we didn't have that. So it kind of made us like hustle even harder, to learn even harder, to like look and study for ourselves so we didn't get bad information like some of the men got. And I'm noticing like that falseness of information is kind of preventing this growth for our males, and then we're out here like, I'll read the book myself, I'll grab the bag myself, I'll try it myself. If I fail, but at least I tried. And I can't say I didn't try, because I even think of like my own family. My mom is super traditional, my dad is super traditional, and even as like we were going into college, like they were like, we'll take you to the college, we'll drive you there, and they were like, stay home, you know, you'll have a couple babies, you'll get married, you'll do whatever. And because they didn't help me, I had to figure it out by myself. Because they even offered a little support to him, he was like, that ain't what I want to do. And his direction went completely different. While mine went here with this, like, I'm going to expose myself to more stuff, I'm going to get more opportunities. And it kind of worked in my favor. It was by coincidence, it was by the grace of God, but it worked out for me, not against me.
I think too, me and you talked about this too. I think women select degrees and specialties. And when I say that, it's not a knock or a diss, it's, if I want to be a business management degree or accountant or finance, during our time and our parents' time, that's male dominated. So you have opposition there. So your specialists are medical field, you know what I mean? A lot of y'all are literally embracing that, hopping in the medical field, mental health, cosmetology, trade, anything of that nature. Y'all chose to hustle, you know what I mean? So we are, as males, a little bit kind of behind on that, because we chose corporate America. We chose to fit in something that was not created for us.
Right.
That they told us we had to fit in that lane. As a male and a provider, the only person y'all respecting is
the breadwinner.
The breadwinner during that time. You know what I mean? So for me, I look at it, y'all choosing specialties in college, I don't even think y'all understand y'all were naturally creating this whole regime of creation. Well, I look at cosmetology, my wife is in that as well. You know, cousin is here as well. You know, you got lashes, makeup. There's so many different avenues you can break that down. It's
body sculpting.
Body sculpting. You damn near need a degree in that. You know
right.
what I mean? It's like y'all created lanes. You know
right.
what I mean? So this is huge. This is huge.
Right.
Yeah, and to kind of piggyback off of that, so, you know, my journey to being an entrepreneur is just kind of like a newfound journey. So, first and foremost, this country in general, ideally, is supposed to be the land of the free. This is the country that everybody moves to so they can be an entrepreneur. If nothing else, you can come to this country and start you a business. That's what it's for, right? Mm-hmm. Now, however, black people in general have always been behind. And then when you think about women, right, we're even more behind. So for me, I did go to a HBCU. I did get a bachelor's degree. I even went and got a master's degree. I do have a job in corporate America, But then this pandemic hit and social media came, and I saw 22-year-olds shaking their booties on yachts in Miami because they have lash businesses. And I'm like, wait a minute. Something ain't right. And I'm like, what? How can I get on a piece of this pie? And this is what black women are doing now. But when you think about it, we are behind. They've been starting businesses in this country. That's what it's made for, right? The white people have been doing this. And then the black men, they have been doing this. And now we are finally following suit. So...
I mean, I think.
And y'all make the mistakes for us.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Couple things. Like when you say the traditional woman versus now, one thing to me, we are the product of our mothers and the opportunities that they did not have. Because I'm just gonna speak for myself. It was drilled in me. You're going to school. You're getting a job. You're gonna live in a neighborhood because somebody said that you couldn't. I'm gonna make sure that you can. And so that was drilled in a lot of us as women. So we are the traditional women. We are the living out the opportunities our mothers and granddaughters they didn't have it. They couldn't go to school. They couldn't, all they could do was go get pregnant.
Thank you.
So we are living their opportunity. We are the product of what they was trying to do for years.
We're like that
So we
first
can't
generation that can
discredit
do
that.
that.
Yeah, we're the first generation that can do this stuff.
I want to take it back further than that. As we're the first generation that's able to take advantage and do things, black women and sisterly, we have always reinvented ourselves. We have always taken the pig fat and this crap and put something on a plate to feed our families. Black women have always been the pioneers of that. So don't ever doubt that we've not been able to be in a situation, reinvent ourselves, see the situations, think situationally, figure a way out of it for our kids, for our husband, whatever we have to deal with as an individual black woman. That's just instinctually and sisterly who we have always been. We just now have the access and the power to tap into the places where we haven't been able to open the doors, the phone calls that we weren't supposed to make, the Supreme Court seats that we weren't supposed to sit on. Now we sit there because all that access is there now. But don't get it twisted. We've always had it in us instinctually. Now we just have the access, the education, the money, the social media, the resources to do the things that we've always been able to do as black women.
Oh, well, I think we could just go ahead and just end the podcast there. Also, pass around the collection plate for this sister. All right. But I think that's a great segue into corporate America. Corporate America. So like not just having to navigate the educational system, and that's all the way back to Ruby Bridges, right? So now you look at corporate America and some of the things that women have to navigate through in the workplace, and we're talking about wage discrepancies, being paid the same as your counterpart, especially when you're more qualified. You've put the work in to go to school. You've taken on, and for some cases, that financial debt to take out a loan to go get that doctorate degree. And like you guys just mentioned, it's starting to pay off. You're the first generation, so now when you look up, you're seeing black women leading FedEx, right? You're seeing black women sit on the Supreme Court seat, right? You're seeing black women now in the NBA who's a minority owner with the Milwaukee Bucks. So now, when you look on paper, that's a black woman who's a NBA champion, right? When you look at it on paper, she's also a owner of a NBA team, whether it's majority or minority. She's in a room that a lot of us can't get into, right? So you have to celebrate that. So I just want some of my women, as you guys have so eloquently, to just talk about some of the discrepancies that you see in corporate America in your workplace, whether it be from a social perspective or even from a professional perspective. We know you guys haven't always been allowed to be in those rooms, to sit at those seats, and you guys have had to be trailblazers and kick down doors and wait for opportunities, right? So we just want you guys to speak on that and some of the things that you've learned, some of the things that you may have gone through to educate not just us, but our audience that will be watching as well.
It's been very interesting seeing how, and like I said, the mother of invention for black women, and even in our careers, we have to reinvent ourselves. So I sat as a director for one of the country clubs here in Kansas City, which I won't name, and I was one of the first blacks as a director there. And it was very funny because everyone had seen, communication with me via email, on the phone, things like that. But they're like, I love that, oh, we didn't know you were black handshake. And everybody knows what I'm talking about. Yes. And they're like, oh, you're Michelle. Oh, absolutely. Hello, how are you doing? Blah, 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 construction, who I have to do your thing for now. And I love that look because automatically there is a judgment there, as if I'm not professional enough, I'm not educated enough, I'm not going to be able to take on, this event or whatever the task was. But it's like when you start, you're already behind the starting line. So you have to sprint and push that much harder to, number one, prove yourself, to show. And it's like, why do we have to even continue to do that? Why can't you just accept my credentials and this and just know that I'm professional enough to do the job and not look at any of this and just know this is what I was hired for? And we always have to, and it's not always, but a lot of times there's that little tick mark, like, okay, well, we didn't know that you were this, but we're just going to see if you can. And then, like, unfortunately, that develops I'm going to show you that I'm going to blow it out of the water, and you're not going to doubt who I am or my professionalism or what I can do at all because this is what I'm supposed to do. But there's always been, I'm sure, we can always speak on an experience like that. Anyone else, like just they didn't know or like you just have to prove yourself more?
On top of that, I was going to say, I didn't realize how much, like, we are purposefully and strategically constantly exposed to white culture, and they are not. They can go years, almost their entire lifetime, without even interacting with somebody who is tan at all. And so we are coming and interacting with people from two totally different worlds living down the street from each other. Because let's be real, KC is very segregated. So you are interacting with somebody they don't know. And it's like talking to an elementary child. I'm sorry, not to sound like that, but they don't know. I've had people ask me one time, do all your men call your women bitches? Is everybody hoes and you all driving out cars? Because the only black people he ever saw, and he was 24 years old, was on BET.
Yeah.
When I say they don't get any, we are forced to be in their world. They have an option.
They have an option
to be in ours.
Yeah. To look
and
at.
So we have to go past so many
barriers.
Weird
like,
barriers. What it say, like, the worst place to be in is in the white person's mind or in their imagination. And it's like, so we have to go through all that and understand they don't have to deal with anything but you. You were the first black person they've ever seen. And it's like, I get tired of being the black delegate.
Yeah. Why do I have to explain anything to you?
Why do I have to be the representative
of
all of
the
us?
whole
Of all of
culture.
us.
Or being the only
because
black
they never
woman
get exposure to that.
Being the only black.
Being the only black person on the team.
Yeah,
And then being a woman.
And then being a woman.
And then being the woman on top of it.
Yeah.
I'm
So
the
you're
only
being
black
treated
and the only
differently,
woman.
right? You're being treated differently. I worked for a job recently. It's a major corporation. I was the only black woman sitting there, and I got treated differently. We were all told the same things, but for me, it was a little bit harsh. It was a little bit more, I was being mistreated. But the complaints didn't do anything. Going to human resource relations or employee relations, that didn't do anything. So when it came down to it, I don't even care no more. It's just like I had to keep working hard and proving myself and doing extra hard work. You always have to do that in their eyes and their culture because they've never seen you as a person. They've never seen you as human. You don't bleed like them. You don't, excuse my French, shit like them. You don't do anything like them. You are just the person that's working for me, and that's it. And so when you have to continuously walk into a door where they make you uncomfortable, they make you feel stupid for doing your job, and it's completely uncomfortable. But I overcome anyway. So
Exactly.
I overcome anyway. So being an entrepreneur in my fashion design, when I get off of work and I go into designing and sketching, like, I'm proving this to myself now because it's not about you no more. I'm out of your workplace. Let me go ahead and prove this to myself. But I know who I am.
Right.
I know what I can do. I know what I can bring to the table because one day you might be working for me. So I'm like, I'm the type of person that works super hard, and I hate that. I hate working in corporate America because it's always about proving yourself.
Proving yourself.
So
You can't even just prove that you're a good worker. You gotta prove yourself too.
You like the challenge.
I do. I'm the type of person who's like, so for instance, I'm in a white male-dominated field. I'm a chemical engineer, so I work with nothing but engineers. So going through school, I had someone ask my parents, like, oh, so what did your daughter do? Like, what is she going to school for? And they're like, oh, she's going to school for chemical engineering. They're like, oh, well, she'll change to chemistry, is what they told my parents. So I'm the type of person like, oh, yeah? Oh, I'm going to show you. So in that regards, in regards to, like, corporate America, I do like being that person to break those stereotypes, especially like we're saying, we're dealing with white people who have only been able to deal with white people. Like, why would they have to deal with black people? So not only am I the only female on my team, I'm the only black person on my team. So whenever I'm doing my job, the same job that my white male counterparts are doing, we're working as project managers, so we have to manage people. So whenever we're going to basically like, why the heck aren't you doing your job? I have to make sure the way that I say it is palatable to the people that I'm talking to. Because my white counterpart, he can say it however he wants to. He can throw in a couple of cuss words and everything else. But if I say it,
Oh, no.
it's
With one little bit of an inflection. No, I'm the professional, assertive person.
I can say exactly what he says, but I have to not only like watch how I say it, but watch also what I say from person to person, because not only do they hear my voice, they'll know I'm a female, but my name is Caitlin. Right. So they think I'm a white female until they meet me. So it is that handshake.
Oh,
I'm
you're
like,
black.
Oh, you're Caitlin.
Oh, right.
Yes, I am Caitlin. So
my name is Kristen.
Exactly. So I go
I'm
like
Michelle.
that.
I'm Michelle.
And my last name isn't Johnson, you know? So it's not easy for them to guess my race. But it is something that I'm like, yeah, I am capable of doing this. Yeah, black women are able to do this. Yeah, I actually do the job better than him. I get so many calls from like our suppliers and things that we deal with, and they're like, you are so much better to deal with than the last person. Yeah, because I'm doing my job. I know what I'm doing.
I would apologize to interject. I would pass some encouragement your way. Stop doing that.
Thank you.
Real talk. I'm gonna say.
No, I can't.
Yeah.
No, I definitely. But also as the person who is the first black female this person has come across.
Don't matter.
It does.
It don't.
It does. It's easier. It's easier said than done.
Okay.
It is.
So let me. I'm sorry to cut you
From
off.
experience as a black woman, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
You don't know.
You don't. Right. Yeah, I don't.
I did that for probably the first 10 years of my career. And when we show up and we're trailblazers in the field that we're in, when we don't show up as ourselves and we code switch and we do all that, it makes it harder for the next person that comes behind us. So you're going to get this country drawl that I got. You're going to get my hand claps when I'm talking and I'm emotional about what I'm talking about. You're going to get my emotion now if I'm passionate about a project that I'm talking about now. But also you're going to get the professional side of me too. So I just want us to like be able to create psychological safety for the people that come behind us and not do any more of that performance or any of that song and dance with them anymore.
I do want to piggyback off of that since we're talking about my experience. I definitely agree with you on that. I wholeheartedly agree with being able to be your true, authentic self in the workplace because, like I said, I am sometimes the first example of a black woman in that professional field that they see. So they do need to see the versatility of a black woman who is capable of doing the same thing that they're doing. However, in order to be given certain opportunities, you do have to play the game sometimes. You do. So until you get to the point where you can be like, okay, I've done what I've done. This is me. I can now be my true authentic self. Yeah, as it could be, yeah, it sucks. But honestly, in certain situations, you do have to play the game until you can get to the point where you can take that breath and be yourself.
So the only
and whether that's right or not, debatable.
Right.
But that's
again, like I said, I would really like to push confidence into y'all.
Oh, for sure.
And the reason why I'm saying that is because I'm a black man on the sales team of 83. I'm one of 83. So results is what people respect. So if I'm able to produce you results like you're able to produce results, I'm not saying you can, say whatever you want. That's just across the board.
Of course.
But emotionally, we have to stop feeling like we have to monitor our delivery when we are successful.
No, but I will say that's a difference between the male and the female experience.
But hold on. But y'all are
because you can still go toe to toe with the white man and you still walk out with that
I didn't say go toe to toe.
Not toe to toe. I just mean, hey, turn your documents in.
Thank you. But yeah.
And
never
we
say
Yeah,
say
but a
that
woman
to a
can't.
We
How come you can't?
Because we women.
Say that.
No, I'm not saying.
You asked about the black woman experience.
That's what I'm
A
saying.
female can't say that.
We're telling them black
Female.
It's unfortunate.
Unfortunately, I will say, women, us as women, we are taught by our
Hold on, let's stop the satellite. I just want to hear.
female experience, our female elders, that you got to use what you got to get what you want. Men aren't taught that. So even though,
How are we not? It's just different. Hold on, but it's different. No, but you have to look. But you have to look at how men and women have been brought up, right? So you look at it like this: men are taught to get what they want through physical work, not with their minds. Henceforth, athletics. Henceforth, learning a trade. Henceforth, doing that. So a man's validation is through his productivity. It's not necessarily tied into his thought process. So when you say to a man, learning to get what you got, use what you got to get what you want. For some of us, it is our brute strength. For some of us, it is being able to work with our hands and fix things. That's how we get what we want.
But ours is sexuality. When
But-
they
and
say
not
that, they mean
necessarily.
sexuality.
But
Use
not
what you got
necessarily.
to
I
get
will
what
want
you
to say,
want.
if you let me finish my thought, is that thought process and that what's instilled in us shows us how to use leverage of certain things. Not necessarily our looks, but we learn how to, like you said, mentally find the leverage in situations. So we learn how to play the game
100%.
so that we can get to the point where we can be ourselves. We don't have that brute strength to be like, this is who I am,
Right.
get over it.
Right.
So we use what we have, whether that's the gift of gab, whether that's your looks, whatever it is, in order for us to get ourselves into the
I think that's a little bit disingenuous to some black men.
It's not.
But
I mean, no, I was.
But
to
for
your
a black woman
for
in
your-
a
your-
male-dominated situation,
Right.
and for me to be friends with other black women on the same level,
Right.
it is a very similar
quick
story.
quick question, and I'll go here just because I'm on the sales side
Yeah,
of this.
I'm in sales as well.
So I'm calling into these companies making this happen. All right. So your position and your role and where you're at, your competition is white men. Your competition.
I'm trying to listen.
Your competition isn't another black male,
Okay.
right? The people that have your same credentials and your same values and the
The
same
people in my group, you're right.
are mainly white men.
Mhm.
There's no black men there.
No.
Okay. Also, to Zach's point to statistics, women have degrees in specialties that you're in. So you were hired because of your expertise and the knowledge that you have in your position. What I'm saying is, encouragement-wise, it is okay to stand strong in your position. And buddy over here that got his degree, he doesn't know that's what you said. He don't know what you know, and you're better than him, right? I ain't saying flex on him. I'm saying it's proven through the dominance in your speech. It's gonna take those trailblazers like you to speak up in that room. But when you're right, you're right.
But you still have to get into the room.
I get that.
You still have to get into it doesn't matter what my credentials are. It doesn't matter what his credentials are. I can have the same credentials as someone in my specialty, and whether I present those results or not, they're always going to contribute it to, oh, well, it's because she's a woman. Like, yeah. They contributed to everything other than what it actually is. My skill sets, exactly. But had it been a white male, my coworker in the same group, given the same results or subpar results, it's because of his hard work. So I want y'all to understand, you're asking for our perspective. I'm giving it to you.
Yeah, I'm accepting.
It's not that, okay, well, if you just give the results, then, I mean, go in there, be yourself, give the results, and then they'll respect you. That's not the
No,
case.
that's not. I agree.
Exactly.
I agree.
Why isn't pay equal?
100%. I agree with that. So it puts me in the fire and saying, cool, what changes? Because we can talk about what is not happening.
Yeah.
That's what we just sat here and did for 20 minutes. We just talked about what's not happening, right? So what's not happening is we're not getting equal pay. We're not getting viewed as the same in the workplace. But honestly, y'all are in position as CIOs, CEOs, CTOs. Black men aren't. So at this point in time, based on numbers, y'all are the front
Yeah. But I want to jump
in that line.
what
How
you're
does it
saying.
I want
change
to know where you got your statistics from.
Well, here's one thing. that I-
with black men?
So here's
The statistics on leadership, black women in leadership, where did you get those stats from? Because we're still seeing like to Caitlin's point, that we're still trying to climb those ladders and break those glass
100%,
ceilings.
100%.
So,
My statistics.
62% of 500 Fortune 500 companies being ran by men. Where are all these black women that you're talking about that in all these?
No, we were talking about in perspective of if you have there are more black women in leadership than there are in black men in these Fortune 500 companies.
I want to challenge you on that.
Okay.
That's not
I
exactly.
think he was mentioning the education statistics.
Correct. Education statistics. That's what we're talking
about.
about.
Roles, but
Right.
education statistics.
I mean, like the education is the situation for a lot of us gets us in that door to get in that room. It's not a lot of people that you can say, like, as black men, we don't inherit a business from our father. So the white counterpart that you're talking about has inherited a business that's been in his family. So you're right, he may not know as much as you, but I can guarantee it's not a lot of black men that have your degree qualification that are even in those rooms. Like you said, you're the only black person in those rooms, as well as being a black woman.
No, I was saying I can understand where she's coming from because I've been in the engineering field for 8 years myself, worked at Black and Beach, worked at Olsen, worked at Actival, worked on countless projects, and she's right. If you're the only one in that room, they're looking at you like, oh, you're here because you're you. And so, like, me as a male is different for me because what I try to make sure they do is respect my mind, because then that's how they respect you. If they know you're not no dummy, then they're gonna respect you. But what your approval comes from all of these old white counterparts, because there is none of us above us. So it's gonna take me, her, and others like us that are breaking into this engineering field, and we're gonna have to create more avenues for more of us. Then when it's more of us in the room, then the conversation changes.
Yeah.
Correct, and that's why I said what changes.
And I think for what you're
To change the system, you gotta get.
But yeah, and so I think with you, so I'm in sales. I'm in software sales. That's what I do for
All
my.
right, let's keep it down. We try to make sure that we are recording and there is people trying to talk. So let's make sure that we all on one accord with that.
So I'm in software sales. So, and I'm the only black woman on my team. I don't know what your professional experience is. I know that you do like SEO and stuff like that. That's what we do in my company. I work for a corporation that does that. It's a little bit different what we do because our job is to just sell, right? It actually works in my favor being a black woman, right? I'm able to be myself. I'm able to tell my client, like, can I keep it real with you? I literally say that. I'm gonna be like, if I were you, this is what I would do. I'm not gonna play you. Like, I say stuff like that to them, and that's what sells them because I'm myself. However, I do recognize if I were in a different industry, I would not be able to be myself because I am a black woman. So maybe your perspective is a little bit different because of the profession that you're in.
Yeah.
Your profession, you have to be yourself.
Somebody said say that again.
I agree with that young lady because the segments do vary and the obstacles do vary by markets. Like she's in tech. Though that's dominated by other than black men, African American men. It's mainly white men and other men of color.
Black people only make up 3% of tech.
Right.
Thank you.
And we're not in there. So she's got to fight. She's got to fight an obstacle that she's got to go through every day. I can understand that. And the obstacles vary by segments.
Mm-hmm.
And on to the part about school, I went to XU, I went to Xavier University of Louisiana. When I was matriculating and I graduated through there, I can tell you the ratio of what black women going through that. I was the minority at that school.
Right.
The ratio was like 5.
I was a minority at Livingstone.
Of black women to men.
Oh, men to women, okay.
Yeah,
There you go.
and you guys were going in every segment because it was a liberal arts college. And it's just, you guys got the minds, you women are fantastic. I love what you're doing, keep up what you're doing. But I think we're all running the same path. You know, black men have their hindrances and they have their obstacles they have to run through because of gender specific things. And black women African American women have obstacles and hindrances that they have to deal with that sometimes may be double or triple what we may be going through as African American men. But there's still obstacles because of our color of our skin.
Right.
And I think that, you know, by us having this dialogue, I'm glad to see this, I'm glad to be here, thank you for the invite, that we talk and we kind of share that knowledge. And I'm just like you, brother. Y'all need to connect over there. Two black engineers, y'all should be talking like yesterday. But, you know, I just think that, you know, it's obstacles in general, and we all got to attack this the same pink elephant in the room the same, different kind of ways. There's
There
a
we
lot
go.
of different ways you can skin a cat, and in this situation, that's what we're dealing with.
I think that's a great segue into the next topic. You know, so we could talk about this all day, but we have some other things on the agenda, right? Another thing that I would like to kind of talk about, I know we're talking about discrepancies in the workplace. One thing that comes to my mind that's modern day is there was a woman who coaches for the Texas A&M women's basketball team, and she wore like some hot pink tights. I think it was for like breast cancer awareness or something like that, and she got a lot of negative reviews, right? And I think a lot of it was body shaming because how she's shaped. And I know I can't speak for the women, but if we could just kind of briefly touch on that, like how do you guys navigate that as well? You know, being fashionable, you know, being yourself in the workplace, but without, you know, being revealing, being, you know, she's trying to, you know, dress her way sexy to the top. Like, how do you navigate that? Because we understand it's a fine line. You know, a couple years ago, we had Teacher Bay down in Atlanta. You know, a lot of comments were made about, you know, how she's shaped, you know, some of the things she was wearing. And, you know, had it been a white woman wearing these things, would it have been an issue? So I know those are some of the things, I know we didn't talk about that as far as like wage discrepancies, but also body shaming, you know, in the workplace for women, you know, telling you what you can wear and what you not wear. But as we get closer to kind of closing out this last episode, the last segment we want to kind of talk about was the nuclear family and the black woman. So I have a question for the black women.
Are we skipping the clothing part?
I think we should.
You want?
I really do, because we need time on this one.
Body shaming?
I would do this. Hey, I'm gonna talk to the camera only.
You gonna talk to the camera only?
The body shaming comment, leave your comments in there, and then we'll do a live on YouTube on Marathon Mondays.
Marathon Mondays.
Addressing
body shaming.
Body shaming.
For black women. All right, so that means all y'all gotta tune in.
All y'all gotta tune in.
All right,
Do that thing.
because that could be a whole segment within itself. You know, we don't.
Can I just say one quick thing on that?
Hey.
So now we about to open up the.
You see how that goes?
Just one
When you
quick
draw a
thing,
line.
seriously.
Yep.
Not just black women, but can people just quit telling women what to wear? We grown, we bought our own clothes.
Okay, well, I'm focusing on black women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Piggyback real fast.
Yeah, you wear whatever you want.
A woman's clothing or whatever she wears, whatever she does not mean that she is seducing a man. She's just wearing clothes.
Yeah.
Yes. So for me to be just dressed in clothing, I'm not seducing you, and I've done nothing
All right.
to attract
Now
you at all.
can we play devil's advocate in that? Because hold on, let me ask, because I've been quiet. I've been quiet, and it's not. Y'all haven't even let me say what I'm trying to say, right? You see, y'all want to be heard. You see how it is? Y'all want to be heard, but y'all want to do no listening.
You see what I'm saying?
You see what I'm saying? I've said here the past 30 minutes and have not interjected. I want to say something, and I can't even get my words out. Marathon Mondays. So I'm gonna just.
To the women though, just period. To the point.
Yeah.
Is that truth is that sometimes we have to have an honest conversation with ourselves as women.
Yes.
When it comes to certain environments, we need to understand that there's etiquette and there's a time and a place for everything. So to your point, yes, there is sometimes a lot of body
We'll finish this on
shaming,
Marathon Monday.
and there's also a lot of conversation around how women dress,
No, I
because
can't.
we as women can do a better job.
I can't.
You know if it's too tight. You know if it's too short. You know if it's too sheer. You know if it's too low or too high. So the point is that I think that honestly, and I'll speak for myself as a grown woman, I'm like, I want to go to an etiquette class. It could be how to hold your silverware when you at the table. Exactly. It could be how to put on the proper garments. Right. Because for me, you a woman when you know how to boss up and put on the proper garments.
Exactly.
You know what I'm
Marathon
saying?
Mondays.
That makes you grow up.
Marathon Mondays.
It's still women's month.
Marathon Mondays. Marathon Mondays. We're gonna talk about body positivity, body shaming, etiquette, dressing. So I want all you same people that's in this room that have something to say, make sure y'all tune in. Make sure y'all, it'll be live. It'll be live. We'll make sure of that. All right. So Now we're moving on. We're gonna talk about the nuclear family, right? And we're gonna slowly but surely wrap this thing up. So I have a question for the women, right? In this situation, how has excelling in corporate America affected your family dynamic? The reason why I ask that is because now we're not in a traditional situation where men were the breadwinners or men are the breadwinners and they bring home the bacon and the wife takes care of the household. Nowadays, women are like, I'm not about to be nobody's stay-at-home wife. Right, there's a bag for me to go out there and get, and I'm gonna get it. So if we have kids, guess what? If I can afford it, I'm hiring a nanny, right? If my mother or my grandmother lives in the vicinity, they moving in, and I'm going to get this bag. So when we talk about this, now it's a different situation where a lot of the male ego is fragile. All right, excuse me. All right, well, a lot of the male ego is fragile. And so how do you navigate that, knowing that you have some men, hold that, as far as getting married, my wife can't make more than me, or, they look at you differently because you are making more than them. So hold on, I got a brother right here. We got to represent for the brothers. We haven't had much time to talk, so if you could, but we equality, Title IX, all of that matters right now. Representation matters.
I just want to say on the subject, that ties in with masculinity and femininity, right?
Right.
A lot of times when women boss up, right, they look at us as men as like, you can't do what I'll do. I can go ahead and get my money. I don't need you. That's where the barrier is right there. Like, hey, I'm a boss, bitch. I don't need you, nigga. You don't want. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like. All right, hold up.
Let him rock. Let him rock.
Hey, hold up. Now the masculinity in me is like, what the hell is going on here? Like, hold up. You disrespected me as a man now, because now you feel like you can do whatever you want to because you make a lot of money and you in this position. But first, I'm a man first, and you a woman.
Hey, Willis, go ahead. Willis. All right. So this is what we're gonna do. So this, hold on. Excuse me. So we can better navigate this, please. All right. If you can hear my voice, please be quiet. All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. So to ensure that everybody is given the same respect you would want, we will now call on people to have a rebuttal. So now, guess what? You may not get called on. But there's opportunity to revisit this on Marathon Mondays or any other comments or on our social media. All right, so we're going to go with Willis first. Let's go ahead.
Just kind of a little bit of what y'all saying. So, I was at a point where now I'm very successful in my career. But at a time, and I'm married too, so I'll start this off with there. So at a point in time, first starting off in real estate, it was a grind, it was tough. My wife was the breadwinner. And I'll tell everybody, I couldn't be where I'm at today without her taking the forefront, making sure, I can go out and do my thing. So now the roles have reversed and I'm the breadwinner and everything is on me. If my wife didn't want to work, she doesn't have to. But I do see from her friends that are single, they get to a point where I don't need a man, they want one, but then it's also gets to a point where I've had conversations with just other females and they're just like, what's wrong with you men? That's the question. I'm like, it's you females. It's what you allow. Men are only gonna do what you allow to do. You knew what it was when we first met. You thought that you could change it. You thought that you could accept it, and then it didn't work. And so now it's you men a lot of times. And I had this conversation, and like I said, I laugh at it, and I give honest opinion. I'm like, where I'm at today is not who my wife met. Almost 6 years ago when we got married, we've been together 13 years. I'm not the same person I am. Yes, I've evolved because if that person's worked it, you'll do that. Krishan and I have had plenty of conversations for hours on different topics in that regards here. You know, it's just natural evolving. As a man, of course, yes, females are way more mature. They usually get there faster than men do, you know, in that regards here, whether it's sometimes in business, sometimes it's just personal relationships, sometimes it's just maturity. You know, females are usually there quicker, you know, than men are. But like I said, when I'm back to there, I'm like, for me to get where I'm at now in my business, my wife, she still takes care of home. Like I tell people, I can't do what I do without her. I'm at home every day cooking and cleaning and stuff like that. I can't do that if I'm out here working to be able to provide. We understand it's a balance. I can't do what I do without her. You know, I need my wife to be able to make sure our kids are good, my house is sane, to where I come home from a stressful day and I don't have to worry about it. Now, if I had to come home and it's still stressful and I still got to cook, clean, make sure the kids in, then now we got an issue. Because it's a balance, it's supposed to be. And if it's not a balance, that's where the issue, where a lot of times that I've had these conversations with people, I'm like, it's gotta be.
So we're gonna transition. Sheridan's next.
My man right here got something to say.
We got you. We navigating it. We got it.
I'm gonna just share me. I 100% agree with you, Willis. I think it goes to the whole, all women think is this, all men think is this. I think that's incorrect. That's not everybody. I do think it's respect. I agree with that. For me, I am one of the women. I want a man and don't need one. But I grew up in a household where my dad took care of everything. If he was to take us all out right now, he's paying for everybody, and I'm used to that. I want to be taken care of. I want to be spoiled. I can make all the money I want to, but so I do find dating difficult. Like, I don't really get asked out, and then like people I'm close to, they'll say, well, you know, you intimidate men. I'm not gonna lower myself for you. So my thing is, I have come to peace personally with the fact that I'm gonna be single until I get what I want and be treated how I deserve to be treated. Because my hustle is amazing, and I want to meet somebody whose hustle is better than mine.
Correct.
So
Just to chime in real quick. Hold on. Let's be respectful.
I'm gonna chime in real quick, but I'm gonna keep it short, very short. You mentioned like your standards and what you're accustomed to. Let me ask you this. I won't ask the statistics or numbers. Before you start rolling in your brand and who you were one thing, right?
I mean, I've always been like me. I've built my business to where it
right,
is.
100%.
Yeah.
But like you got a difference between I'm selling one house a month and 20 houses.
Correct.
Right. So your position of selling one house a month, to me, I look as the equivalent of a man trying to grind his thing out. So you could be blocking your blessing. Because
hey, y'all gotta keep it down.
Yeah.
I'm talking about
no, that's why.
here.
Yeah, that's what like I didn't even mention money.
Yeah.
I didn't even mention money.
Well, I'm just saying that's where I'm coming from.
Okay.
I want someone who is also a hustler like me because, like Willis said, he come home, he don't want to come home to a mess. Yeah. I'm out, going all day. I just want that person to understand that too.
100%.
And whatever that means for us,
yep.
Because I don't think that just because your standard is this or whatever that means for us, whatever our home is.
Make sense.
Yes, that's all I'm saying.
I just want to encourage everybody, please exemplify the same respect you will want. For one, we're recording, so side conversations can be picked up. Secondly, you want people to listen to what you have to say when you're giving things, please do the same. All right? Thank you. I appreciate it. My man right here.
All right, so I was taught that the root of disappointment is false expectations. And so I think just knowing what to expect. What's the goal? And then figuring out how to work together in order to accomplish that. So often it's like pride, it's ego. You're battling. If your spouse is doing really well and she's even better at her role than you, I'm in full support. If financial independence is the end goal, or trying to be a CEO, or the first college graduate in your family, whatever the case may be, when you know exactly what expectations are and you're moving together towards it, I'm all for it. And that's just kind of how I've always been.
Let's go here, Ms. Williams.
Yes, to Sheridan's point, first of all, I love what you said. Thank you. I also always have to go back and say, let's challenge our thinking ladies, because as women that are leading, let's just say in our time frame that we're living in right now, a lot of us are when I think of a boss woman, it's not always about how much money she makes. It's more as it is just her mental capacity to make waves for not only herself but for those around her, right? But I will say in the dating sector, I would challenge us as women, yes, while we are bosses, we do have to find a way to disconnect from that boss mentality in a relationship mode. So when we say things like, you know, because for example, and I say this because I challenge the men around me to let me know. So how you think of me? Why you always talking about business all the time? I mean, does business always have to show up in our conversation? It's like, okay, I need to chill on that, right? So just finding ways, like we can be bossy, we can be sexy, we can also be more attractive when we learn how to disconnect the two. I think it's an aura that we carry, and for anybody to say that I don't need a man, that's a lack of maturity. We don't need anybody per se, but it doesn't have to be verbalized. You know what I'm saying? It's not something you have to verbalize. If you're good with yourself, be good with yourself. But when we say things like, I don't need you, or I don't need her, or I don't need them, like, no, we're relational. We were created to be relational. We all need people. So I just challenge ladies, just let's fall back in the aura that we don't need anybody. A lot can be said without saying anything.
I agree with you. Like I still follow the Bible. Like I want to be submissive. Like I'm open. My heart is open to that.
But that word is subjective.
Well, I'm saying. But I 100% agree with you.
Again, hold on.
That's me. I'm not saying everybody has to feel that way.
Hold on. Who you got next, Krishan?
We going in the back right there, group. Y'all two. Nah, y'all two, right?
Oh, I was gonna say I resonated with you because my father taught me the same thing. My daddy taught me, he said, I don't want you to ever need a man. I want you to want a man. Because if I need you, that's a codependent relationship. Now I have to do things and bend at your will for me to survive. But if I want you, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure I love you, connect with you, support you, be there for you, because I want you in my life. If I need you, I am stuck on, because if I need, because that's the thing, he said to me, never need a man, you better want him, not need him. Because if I need him, then I'm codependent. Then it's a power struggle. Then it's you and me above each other, then we're trying to outdo each other. No, I need you, I want you, you want me. So let's lose that power. I want you so bad, I'm going to be there for you. I want you in my life so bad, my life is better with you in it. I can survive without you, but I love the shit out of that man. He can walk out on me right now. I'll put myself together, call her up, we're going to get over it. But I want him in my life, so I'm going to make it work. But I don't need him at all. Does that you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Right here.
With this new age empowerment that's come to black women, I do say new age empowerment, that empowerment can be emasculating to a man. Very quickly. Because a strong, intelligent, don't need nothing from anybody black woman, that's a weapon. That's a powerful weapon. And a lot of people are intimidated by that. But in that, and to your point, that traditional role of being submissive, of knowing your role as I want to take on a partner in life. There is another role that you have to assume that's not that boss woman. There's a whole nother level of leadership, of love, of commitment, of communication, of understanding that has to be, reflective in the partner that you choose that wants to support you and empower you to continue to be the best woman that you can be, regardless of what your career may be. But also there's an empowerment in the role as the woman, as the wife, as the mother, as the caretaker in the household. That is another not emasculating thing for a male, but something that we also need to embrace along with our boss bitchness power. We need to embrace that. We want that partner, and that partner has to embrace that part, and we have to embrace the role that we need to be in as a partner to accept a man in our life. So when you are a boss woman or empowered woman, it takes a certain personality in your partner to encourage that, to cultivate that, to be your cheerleader, as well as you have to in return be their cheerleader and be their support and still be the foundation of the house as husband and wife and things like that. So it's a partnership it's a role that has to be learned and duly respected on both ends by men and women.
Let's go, Chris.
So just to piggyback off what you said, I'm sorry, I didn't get her name.
Miss
Christina,
I'm sorry. So, I do want to challenge all women. Growing up, I grew up in church. We taught submission and all that stuff. I understand, but when I finally started understanding what submission actually was, I think we misinterpreted it growing up for saying that we don't have a voice.
Yeah, right.
That's not what
100.
submission is. Submission is a sign of respect because this is my protector, my provider, my leader. So I'm going to go ahead and subject myself under this leadership.
Right.
Leadership doesn't mean that he gets to tell you what to do or control you. It just means I need to make some decisions that's best for the household.
Absolutely.
It's a sign of respect. New age empowerment, I can't stand it. I'm sorry. I can't stand it. It's irritating because it is demasculating. It is telling the man, you're weaker than me, when really he was created to be stronger than you. You being a weaker vessel doesn't mean you're weak physically, you're weak-minded. It just means you're under, him, but you are equal. Equal is different spiritually than what people created it to be.
Yes.
You are not lesser than a man just because you're the woman. You're the neck. He's the head. So the neck is holding up the rest of the body. And we have to understand that we are the backbone of the household. So it's not like, okay, I'm just gonna let him do everything and I don't need you because I know you're just the neck. You can't put a body on top of a body. You gotta have a head to secure the body. So if there's a way that we can all, I do want to challenge women, especially in my millennial age. It gets irritating to see because I see so many men crying out. Do you hear me? Can you see me? Am I important? Am I still a person? Am I still strong enough for you? Can I still carry this household? It's sad to see. I got a little brother. I'm like trying to get him to, we have conversations like this all the time. We have conversations that, I have male friends, to Tana's point. He's my male friend. To his point, I understand what the cry is, the inside cry, that they feel unheard. I can't speak on these things because this woman feels like she doesn't need me. The need isn't about, I need you to just do all these things all the time. The need is about the emotional support when I'm doing all these things all the time. And then I still have to get home and I need you too. That's what that's about. It's the emotional and the spiritual support. It ain't got nothing to do with the financial support. That's something that society created. That's not something that it was meant to be. So I do want to challenge all, especially millennial women. Understand what these definitions are of submission, a need, and a want, and know the difference, and walk in that. That's how, I understand not needing a man and wanting a man. I get that. I used to be that person, but then I was told one time, you too strong for me. And it hurt my feelings. I was like, I thought I was being submissive. So it hurt my feelings. I'm like, dang, okay, my bad. So I'm like, well, let me dial it back. Let me unlearn all the things that I was taught, all these layers that I built up for myself because I thought I didn't need nobody. Let me unlearn this thing and let me relearn who you are as a person. That's how you understand the relational portion of everything. Like, marriage being one person. That's how we understand that. So I just want to challenge all millennial women for that.
So we gonna move a little bit towards closing, and I'm gonna rock a lot. Oh, I'm sorry. You rocked on earlier segments.
But I was gonna say a leader is service.
Yeah.
Like we have to think of the service of whatever. So if you are a man, if you're a female, and that's something we all suck at is leadership. Give. It's about giving and supporting and servicing other people to be their best self. That was gonna be my point.
100%. But if you've never seen anybody do that, then you don't know. And I mean, that's not. But but if you think about it, right? If you grew up in a single household where your mother had to be the male, she had to be the alpha and the beta, right? And so she's teaching you to learn from her mistakes. You don't need no man. You don't do this, you don't do that. Subconsciously, you don't know how to speak life into a situation. You put a wall up because that's the only thing you've been told, that you don't need this, you don't need that, right? And it's the same with men. One of the biggest things that I took from that Kanye documentary was how his mom spoke life into him.
She sure did.
Right, despite what everybody else thought, despite whatever he was going through, Donda West spoke life into Kanye, right? And so it's just like, in order for us as, the leaders of the school, the new school, right, we have to understand, some of us have to revisit, our past traumas, our generational curses, right? Because, Webby and Boosie made a song about it, but being the independent woman really kind of damaged some relationships because women became too independent for men, right? And and then society started pushing that, like, you don't need no man to make $1 million, to make 7 figures. You don't need no man in your household to teach your son or your daughter how to be that. So it's like, So it's like we have to really sit down and understand it's not about pointing fingers at what a black man could do better or what a black woman could do better. What can we do collectively, right? Because we all have we all take something, we all, have put something into this tank that now we're reaping the benefits of it, whether it's good or bad. So if we're trying to change the trajectory, what we have to do is go back and have those conversations with our mother, have those conversations with our grandmother, be forgiving because it wasn't a manual for teaching. Think about trying to raise a son or a daughter in the civil rights era, in the Jim Crow era. Then you fast forward in the late 90s and you have the gang culture and you have the rap culture, you have the drug situation. There's not a manual for a parent to be like, hey, this is how you raise a black man. This is how you raise a black daughter. So a lot of that was trial and error. So I think if we're going to change this trajectory, one thing we have to do is not be so judgmental of what our parents didn't do, right? Learn from it, be better, but don't hold their feet to the fire to the standpoint that we neglect relationships or we can't forgive people because of some things that we may have missed as a child. So, listen, I appreciate the black women showing up and showing out for this here topic. I appreciate that. I also appreciate, you guys is coming to support not just the podcast, but the networking events. I'm glad to hear success stories like Tiara. The fact that, she's meeting people who are coming to support her business and pour into her business. And we look forward to hearing more testimonials about, these networking events that we're putting together, how you're able to collab with each other and come up with that $1 million idea. Trust the process. The $1 million idea first starts with the $100 idea, then the $1,000 idea, and then we get to those $1 million ideas. So, as we're on our journey to our $1 million idea, we ask that you guys continue to support us, continue, to come and break bread with us. Don't just come and hang out with us. Inform us, educate us. Ms. Hester dropped some jewels for us this morning about Madam C.J. Walker and the hair care industry. So that's what this platform is about, is to educate each other. We understand iron sharpens iron, but sometimes sparks may fly. So, as long as we understand that, we're going to all be all right. Definitely want to say, before we get out of here, I want to say thank you to Ms. Christina Williams and the BLACC Company for extending their services. I want to thank Ben and his fiance for doing the videography today. And most importantly, I want y'all to give it up for yourselves. You guys see a need in the community. You know what I'm saying? You guys see a need in the community, and we're all trying to, get our slice of the pie. But why get a slice when we can bake the pie together? That's how I like to look at it. So, shout out to y'all. Yeah. We appreciate it.
Yeah. I close it out with this, man. Shout out to Raphael.
Yeah.
A lot of y'all feeling real comfortable earlier, came through with the massages.
The divine healing. Yep.
I'll give a huge shout out to my moms, man. I literally, it was 100% started. Hey, I know how to cook, clean, take care of myself. I was told not wait on a woman to do things for you, bro. Hey, you gonna cut the grass, change the oil, do your brake pads, but you also gonna cook dinner. You know what I mean?
My dad did all my mom cooked 3 times a year in my house. Christmas, Thanksgiving, and New Year's. My dad did all the cooking. My dad did all the cooking in the house. So
and also to my wife, man. I look at this. She's a major entrepreneur. So I look at it from her standpoint. You know what I mean? I work, I pick kids up, change diapers, cook, clean, do all that too. She's amazing, man. And if anything I could do to support, what she has going to grow, she's going. I already know. Maybe not today, but tomorrow she's gonna make more money than me. Yes, and I'm gonna be retired. You know what I mean? And we're gonna be straight. But hey, but it's about visions and dreams. So you being an engineer, your business, real estate, things of that nature. Like, bro, support our black women, bro. Like, we really have to, as men, understand, bro. It ain't you sitting back and taking a backseat, or you losing something by her going to be great. Bro, the percentages don't lie. They are great minds in major corporate America and also entrepreneurship. we have to support that, bro. And the bag is the bag. And as long as you're taking care of your family, hey, bro, hey, build and get more. You know what I mean?
Hey, man, so we out, man. We out. What 3 stacks say, man? Listen, for the ladies,
Hey,
in the words of my dog, 3 stacks.
Tell 'em.
You know, hey,
Nah.
what they say?
Yeah.
We giving y'all flowers
Right
while
now.
y'all here right now.
But roses what?
But in the rose in the history of Andre 3 stacks, roses really smell like boo boo. Nah, all right, but we thank y'all, man. We got out of here. Y'all have a good one.